Thank you, Chair, and thank you to all the witnesses for your attendance, particularly the witnesses who are here advocating on behalf of family members and personal experiences. My heart goes out to each and every one of you. In fact, my entire Conservative team will always stand in solidarity over victims, over accused, always. And one thing I want to highlight, and I feel like a broken record when I say this, the number one responsibility for a federal government is to keep us safe. This federal government, under the so-called leadership of Justin Trudeau and now Mark Carney, to you, Ms Baisel-Cobb, has failed your daughter, has failed to implement the necessary changes to keep her safe, has failed to bring in mandatory detention in high-risk IPV cases, has failed you in terms of strict enforcement of no-contact orders, has failed you in terms of increasing sentences for violent repeat offenders. For the last 10 years, all that we have heard is promise after promise after promise and no deliverables. It started with C-75 when they made it easier for repeat violent offenders to be recycled through the justice system, catch and release. They followed up with C-5, eliminated mandatory minimum penalties for serious drug offenses, all drug offenses and serious gun offenses. They made it easier for sick mass murderers like Paul Bernardo to be transferred from maximum security to medium security to enjoy the comforts. Because why not? Liberals have always favored the accused. Yep. And to you, Ms. Wambach, your considerations and concerns, what about that victim ombudsperson? Yep. For almost a year and a half, this failure of a Liberal government did not appoint that person. And that person right now does not have the necessary tools to keep victims safe. So I apologize to you that your government has failed you so miserably. To you, Ms. Alexander, one thing that struck out to me as very important, your phrase, almost as if the government wants this. Can you elaborate on that?
I think it's pretty obvious that we have a problem here, and having, with a lot of my friends here, the social outreach of millions and millions of people saying, what is this government doing? Why are they favoring the criminals? Why are they not holding obviously dangerous people accountable? And I feel like a broken record. I feel like I'm banging my head against the same walls the way that my ex did to me. This government has been an extension of the abuse that my ex committed against me. And I don't understand what color of red they need the blood to be. How many of us have to die? How many times do we have to say, repeat, suffer before we get both sides of the government? This is a nonpartisan issue on the same team so that we put criminals away and protect the public.
Right. Yeah. And you specifically pointed out Mr. Maloney for making promises to you a couple of years ago. Have other members of the Liberal government made similar promises that were simply not kept?
I tend to use this experience. In April 2024, I sent a letter about my experience in the injustice system to Pierre, to Jagmeet, and to Justin. Pierre responded in 48 hours. Justin responded in 7 months, and Jagmeet never did. And then the committee meeting July 31st, 2024, where the Liberals and the NDP put a motion in about abortion, and I was forced to walk out of a committee meeting just like this, because clearly clearly you have to know at this point that this is wrong and that something needs to be done and that this leniency to criminals is just going to end up killing more people. Clearly you know that now. We are screaming it up the rooftops. It's in every single newspaper, every single headline. The media is frustrated with it. Why aren't you doing something about it? Seriously, something serious about it.
Ms. Alexander, and you're absolutely correct. For years we've heard, you know, it's all in the imagination of the minds of Canadians. It's not our problem, it's the provinces, it's provincial judges, it's lack of space, never accepting responsibility for their own abject failure. Now they brought forth Bill C-14 called the Bail and Sentencing Reform Act. There is one provision that increases sentencing. And you would think, given the myriad of serious violent offenses we have in this country, including IPV, you'd think they would address it? No. Their focus is on contempt of court. People who are subpoenaed to give evidence and choose not to, they want to increase the penalty from 6 months to 2 years less 1 day. It shows a lack of priority on that side of the House when it comes to your rights. That's what we'll fix.
Thank you, Mr. Brock. Thank you to all the witnesses, not just for your time here, but for the pieces of your soul you had to put on full display here. I think, you know, certainly I speak for my colleagues, we all felt it. We didn't just hear it, we felt it. And, you know, I'm new to this chamber. I make no comment as to what's happened in previous parliaments, but I certainly came here largely to deal with some of these issues head on. So I thank you very much for helping us do this. Mr. Broadfoot, I met you this summer at one of the vigils for your daughter, and I saw how the community in London had rallied around her and celebrated her life and all that she did in her 17 years. And sadly, we had to acknowledge all that won't be in the decades that should have come of her life. And I know that you never wanted to have to be the advocate you are, but you have, and we are better off for it, and I'm grateful to that. And you made a comment which is so painfully obvious, but I think it bears repeating here, that if your daughter's abuser had been behind bars, your daughter would still be alive. Now, we have heard testimony from some of the academic set, some of the witnesses that our Liberal colleagues have called, who like to put an emphasis on the rights of the accused. But there is only one life. There's only one shot that we have when intimate partner violence is at issue here. So explain your message, if you could, Mr. Broadfoot, to those who believe that this is an abstract discussion about rights and not a life or death issue for women and girls.
Thank you, Mr. Lawton. And again, thank you for being at the vigil this summer. It was greatly appreciated. How do I answer this? I mean, again, it's if you're defenseless, a defenseless woman or girl, and you're being attacked by your male partner, which is, you know, the statistics show that this is it's a high statistical matter when it comes to the males abusing women. How is this individual supposed to try to protect themselves? We look around, even this room, this committee, and we are bigger than the average woman that is here. And how do they do that? How, again, can putting your hands around somebody's neck, again, I'll repeat it, literally saying, I am going to decide whether I'm going to let you continue to breathe. How is that strangulation in itself, if you are charged with it, as my daughter's abuser was on the first offense? How is that individual allowed to walk out of that police station on that same very day? And as Jacqueline mentioned, I have not met her personally, but we are unfortunately family. How are we not monitoring these people? And I use that word very loosely. I prefer the word monsters.
Yeah, I agree. I thank you for that. I'll ask you, Ms. Alexander, I know you've seen at least some of the testimony we've heard to date on the committee, and when you hear people talk in the abstract about the rights of accusers, what does that mean to you?
I wish you could be inside my head right now and know what it feels like to have a 6'3", 225-pound male beating your skull into the floor. I wish you could see the blood that I tried to wash out of my hair in the shower. I wish you could understand the fear of being confined to a space by someone who is double your size. Why in wrestling do we put people in weight classes? Women can't fight this. I asked my stunt double, I said, you're a black belt in all the millions of things. Would you have been able to take him on? She's like, not a chance, Kate. If he, an abuser in that mindset with the adrenaline and the testosterone running through them, if they want to kill you, they will. And I'm alive for the grace of God, of my friends who got a 2-word WhatsApp message. I'm alive because I let him beat me. I had to just let him, because if I fought him back, it got worse. So I just took it and somehow survived. I wish you could understand that, and I'm not allowed to bring props. I got in trouble for that last year. But I can show you the videos and photos of him doing this and the blood splattering. I can show you my black and blue body. I need you to understand that when you're making policy choices. This is not a joke. It's real, and it affects your system for life. And it rips families apart. And it's actually more expensive to do what we're doing right now from a financial level, because there's so many financial consequences for abuse. You can't work, you can't function properly, and it costs billions of dollars to not deal with these individuals properly. Billions of dollars. We need to do better, because this is real. And I'm alive by the grace of God. Unfortunately, Brianna, unfortunately, Madison is not. But I know what their daughters went through. I just live to tell the tale. So I want you to understand, everyone in this room to understand that, and take that and get over your partisan bullshit. Get over it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, if I may, can we request that Ms. Alexander provides any visual or written materials that she is comfortable with to the committee?
You want me to show it on my phone right now?
No,
I've got it. We can play it.
it wouldn't be understanding what you're suggesting, Ms. Alexander. I don't think it would be appropriate at this moment, but certainly you could submit it to the chair and to the.
I was screaming for my
committee.
life for Michael to stop. We can play the video if you want. Put it on the big screen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I would like to thank each and every one of you coming here for witnessing. I know, as Mr. Fortin said, he don't have questions for you, and we are speechless. We are really speechless to hear your story. We heard you loud and clear, and I'm sorry that this government has failed you, all of you actually. And please accept my heartfelt condolences on your loss and the struggle you have seen in your life. Mrs. Cobb, I would like to ask you, like, not much, but if you could directly to the lawmakers, what would you like to say then?
I'd like to say we do talk about change. And again, I'm not sure why we're so fearful of making that change, but if it happened to your daughter or sister or niece, you wouldn't be so fearful, and you would make that change, and you'd make it now, not later. You do it now. Thank you.
I will tell you that in my capacity, I will leave no stone unturned to make these things. I am, like Andrew Lawton said, I am also a first-timer here, and we will do each and everything in our capacity to bring those reforms that will protect victims, and we have to put victims ahead of criminals. What message would you like to send to Canadians and families about offenders breaching their conditions and being given more chances because of weak liberal laws?
I'm just so upset. I'm angry. It just doesn't make sense to me. I would say to the victims, I'm so sorry. I wish I could help. I know the judges are overworked. I know the system is really, really busy. But again, it's more of a message to the criminals. They can just go ahead with a slap on a wrist and get away with it.
I cede my time to the member from York Centre now.
Thank you. Jacqueline, I read your letter earlier today. I can't imagine. I'm so sorry for your loss. And same for you, Brett. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. I wish I wasn't going to say what I'm about to say to you. It's going to be a bit technical. The police is asking to clarify the burden of proof on these reverse onus offenses. C-14 doesn't do that. We're asking them to codify the removal of the latter principle, which compels judges to release at the earliest opportunity on the least restrictive conditions. I don't have confidence that this bill is going to end the revolving door that our sentencing and bail system has become. The bill doesn't deal with young offenders. The bill doesn't deal with parole. It barely touches on sentencing reform. So imagine right now, Kate, imagine that this passes, that this Bill 14 that they're bringing, that it passes, and nothing changes. And now imagine I invite you here a year from now or 2 years from now. What would you say to my Liberal colleagues across the aisle?
Right? This is my third time on committee. It's the same deal. And no, C-14 is not going to work.
Bill C-14 is not going to work. Bill C-14 does not go far enough. I do not understand for the life of me why, listening to the type of testimony that we're listening to today, we're watching some of my Liberal colleagues right now not being overly interested in what they're hearing. They have an opportunity. We will get this bill. We can amend it at committee. And I plead with you to please remember today's witnesses. This was the most powerful panel we've had since the beginning of this bail and sentencing study. Let's remember, Jacqueline, let's remember Brad. And by the way, we have offenses against court orders that are now being overlooked, that are subjected to a diversionary framework by virtue of Bill C-75. They're not being prosecuted. This bill does not deal with it. Please ask my colleagues to deal with that. Jacqueline, would you like to do that?
There's unfortunately not time for a response. Mr.
10-second response.
We've gone way over, Mr. Favre. You went way over time.